Okay, let's go.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the most abused visa systems in our current immigration system has been the H-1B non-immigrant visa program. This is supposed to allow highly skilled laborers who work in fields that Americans don't work in to come into the United States of America. What this proclamation will do is raise the fee that companies pay to sponsor H-1B applicants to $100,000. This will ensure that the people they're bringing in are actually very highly skilled and that they're not replaceable by American workers. So it'll protect American workers, but ensure that companies have a pathway to hire truly extraordinary people and bring them to the United States.
We need workers. We need workers. We need great workers. And this pretty much ensures that that's what's going to happen. I think, Sean, you agree with that?
Well, they're $100,000 per year. So the whole idea is no more will these big tech companies or other big companies train foreign workers. They have to pay the government $100,000, then they have to pay the employee. So it's just not economic. If you're going to train somebody, you're going to train one of the recent graduates from one of the great universities across our land, train Americans, stop bringing in people to take our jobs. That's the policy here, $100,000 a year for H-1B visas, and all of the big companies are on board. We've spoken to them about the golden card.
They love us. They love us.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Joe Dabini, and I'm an electrical engineer. And as of yesterday, President Trump passed a new executive order requiring companies to pay $100,000 for every new H-1B visa they want to bring into the United States of America. So there's been a lot of talk going on throughout social media, and a lot of people have a lot of questions trying to get this solved. And as an engineer that's here in the United States, I want to share how this affects us for those who are engineers and or who have a future in trying to be an engineer here in the United States. So the first person I want to look at is our press secretary, Caroline. Her message to us. So today they released the fact sheet, and when you come down, she lets us know, hey, to be clear, this is not an annual fee. It's a one-time fee that applies only to the petition. Those who already hold H-1B visas and are currently outside of the country right now will not be charged $100,000 to re-enter. H-1B visa holders can leave and re-enter the country to the same extent as they normally would. Whatever ability they have to do that is not impacted by yesterday's proclamation. 3, this applies only to new visas, not renewals, and not current visa holders. It will first apply in the next upcoming lottery cycle. So as you guys can see from her message, a lot of H-1B visa holders were afraid that, hey, tomorrow they're pretty much going to be kicked out of the country. And as a leader's perspective, it wouldn't be the best idea to randomly force thousands of employees that are holding key positions in different tech companies, or even hospitals to remove them by one order. In my opinion, that would be very toxic and very bad. So what they're doing instead is pretty much they're putting up a wall for any new H-1B visa holders or applications that companies want to leverage. So if you're outside of the USA, whether you be in Nigeria, China, India, and you're trying to come to the United States as an H-1B visa holder, now you have to create a very niche high value that companies are willing to pay that extra $100,000. It has never been easy to come to the United States as an H-1B visa, but now it becomes significantly harder because not only are you competing with everybody around the world trying to come here, but now companies have to pay $100,000. Now you gotta sell to employers why you are worth an extra $100,000 outside of the salary that they have to pay after that. And for them, this is them incentivizing that, hey, companies are going to be paying premium prices for the best possible H-1B visas to come to the States. So if we pay attention to the fact sheet, President Trump suspends the entry of certain alien non-immigrant workers, all right? Today, President Donald Trump signed a proclamation to restrict the entry into the United States of certain H-1B aliens as non-immigrant workers, requiring a $100,000 payment to accompany or supplement H-1B petitions for new applications to curb abuses that displace U.S. workers and undermine national security. So whenever I graduated from my university, right? I graduated in 2022 for my engineering degree. So not my business degree. But when I got my engineering degree in 22, I was able to find a job pretty quickly in the defense industry. So it took about 30 days of applying and interviewing. And then on the following month, I got my first offer. I graduated in December, got my first offer in February. But that was because I went through the defense side where you are required to get a clearance and then get your job. But whenever I looked at my other friends who didn't want to work in defense and they were looking for companies like Amazon, Meta, and so on, anybody in the FANG company, it was significantly much harder. And even now I have friends who are in those areas. Some of them complain that H-1B visa holders are taking up their spots. And I'm not in the field. I haven't worked directly with anyone H-1B visas, but those are the frustrations that I hear on both sides. And there's other people who say H-1B visas are very talented in what they do and they really want them to stay in their workplaces. So if we continue down on this fact sheet, they start talking about the abuses that all these large corporations are abusing the H-1B visas for. Because originally we know it was meant to bring in the best talent from overseas into the United States to help. So the share of IT workers with H-1B visas has risen from 32% from 2003 to over 65% in recent years. And then, unemployment among recent computer science graduates has reached 6.1 and 7.5 for computer engineering graduates, more than double the rates for biology or art or history majors. The number of foreign STEM workers in the United States has more than doubled between 2000 and 2019, while overall STEM employment only increased 44% of the time. So only half of the jobs 44% of jobs became available, but there was 100% of workers that got ported into the workforce. So the interesting part was whenever I came down here, I started looking at American companies. One of the other things, they did not name any specific companies, but I found them for you guys to see who are the main reasons why this is all happening. So this first one says one company was approved 5,189 H-1B visa workers in 2025 while laying off another 16,000. And then I did a quick search. Who might that be? So I went on Google and I typed in laying off roughly 16,000 people. And then just like that, we found out that Microsoft was responsible for this first part. So they laid off 16,000 Americans and then replaced them with pretty much H-1B visas. And it took a quick search. I don't know why they're protecting these companies because, you should put them on the forefront for your decisions. The second company right here, another company was approved for 1,600 H-1B workers, yet announced laying off 2,400 workers. Typed in laying off 2,400 on Google, and there you find it. Intel was laying off over 2,000 people to replace them with H-1B visas. And we move down the line. Third company reduces workforce, but 27,000 while receiving 25,000 H-1B visas. If you're not in the tech world, you might be wondering, who might this be? But anybody who is an engineer, especially if you're a software engineer, there's only one company that would be hiring over 25,000 H-1B visas. And drum roll, the company is Amazon. So Amazon is responsible for that third part. So as you guys can see, a lot is going to change going forward. But on the immediate side, if you're an H-1B visa and you already got approved and you're already working in the States, you are well protected. This is mainly a barrier for anybody else who hasn't been accepted yet. And I understand because there's people who are still graduating here in the USA who even graduated from top schools can't make it into these companies. And obviously, if I can pay somebody $100,000 with the H-1B visa, even though you got your degree from Harvard, if I paid you $170,000 for your degree, I'm at a loss. So companies are now managing. Some people are considering that as unfair. So now this is forcing companies to hire new graduates that graduate in the USA to succeed. So what does that mean for future engineers, future electrical engineers, and if you're in the States? If anything, as time goes on, this is the time to capitalize. I don't know how long this is going to be for. I think I saw online it might be for 12 months or until Trump's presidency ends. But you want to capitalize in this opportunity if you are in the United States. And even if you're not a US citizen and you're an H-1B visa, these are the moments that you need to capitalize on your knowledge, your skill set, because you just became very expensive to acquire. So you want to make sure you are ahead of your competition. Alternatively, if you are a US citizen and you just don't want to compete with any level of H-1B visa, you could always go into the clearance sectors, right? There's a bunch of jobs in the defense sectors that you won't necessarily be competing with H-1B visas, because a lot of these jobs require clearances and a lot of H-1B visas cannot obtain a clearance. So you would only be competing against other American workers. So after seeing this, if you are in the tech field, what is your thoughts about this? If you're from outside of the USA and you've been trying to get your H-1B visa approved, what are your thoughts on this? Because it's a big game changer for the future, but for the immediate, those who are already in the States, I think everything's gonna stay consistent. But going forward, as the market starts to recover and there's new jobs getting posted, now a lot of these companies are going to be hesitant before they get H-1B visas. The only other thing I'm curious about is H-1B visa holders are not just in tech. They're in medical fields, they're in other fields that those H-1B visas were highly skilled for, that they put them in those positions. Now, what's going to happen when these hospitals need an H-1B visa worker for their specific skill set, but they need to cough up $100,000 for that individual? It's gonna be interesting. There's pros and cons for everything. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Jadabini is out.